Eminent Domain. Episode title, Legend of Frank the Tank.
The town folk of Mose, Florida refer to it as Fort Mose, even though it had been centuries since Fort Mose existed. A city township ranging from prime Atlantic coast real estate to well-maintained inland property. Once condemned buildings and empty warehouses, Mose is now the capital city of Ohugen settlements established in Florida. Paved roads, immaculate structures uniform in its unique, innovative architectural designs. It's as if the founders wanted to separate from the status quo in every way possible. Well, that's exactly what they did. New Moseans all agreed that there was no place like Mose. They took pride in being the first establishment post-Reconstruction absent of federal or state influence. Basically, the dominant society wasn't crippling their growth and development with the usual anti-black politics. Anybody who knows history knows the hell black classifieds were catching since 1492. Something the elder Moseans would strategically bring up when young, uninformed ears were present, especially when topics for gossip were scarce. The story had been delivered many times throughout the years, embellishment here, an ad-lib there, always maintaining integrity on the event's conclusion. A mysterious, yet glorious conclusion from the perspective of Moseans. Town storytellers, soothsayers, elders, and griots deliver this oral history with flavor, rhythm, and soul. Every version of the tale, no matter the speaker, began the same. Half a century ago, at noon on a pleasant summer's day, the town sheriff, Franko Manendez, along with half a dozen Maroon County police officers, were finalizing construction on the city gate when they were approached by three marked St. John's police vehicles, 2 men in each. Sheriff Franko stood about 1 or 2 inches over 6 feet. Above average height, he was a solid, well-put-together man in possession of a no-nonsense demeanor. Didn't seem likely that Frank the Tank, as locals called him, would shy away from confrontation. Rumor around town was that he was a bare-knuckle champion in his native Cuba. A dark brown skin tone and a serious disposition to go with a no-back-down attitude. Clean-shaven bald head with a well-trimmed beard. He and his officers were uniformed in navy blue military fatigues, black undershirts tucked into their trousers with military-issued black boots. He commanded his officers to stop construction. With their M1 Garand 30 caliber semi-automatic rifles strapped on their backs, they immediately formed a strategic flank while simultaneously reaching around for their weapons, placing them in the ready position. The St. John's police cars came to a sudden halt as they witnessed this defensive posture. Sheriff Franko stood fast while focusing on the lead vehicle. There was about 10 awkward seconds of uncomfortable silence. You could hear a pin drop. A pale-skinned arm waved what seemed to be a white handkerchief out the passenger side window. St. John County Police, I'm Sheriff William Starr Jr., exclaimed a high-pitched, scruffy voice from the lead vehicle. The locals call me Sheriff W. Franko's response laced in Florida Southern drawl. Sheriff William Starr Jr.? The Sheriff William Starr Jr. Well, what an unexpected surprise, Sheriff W. To what do we owe this unannounced visit? You clearly out your jurisdiction. This is not St. John County. You're behind Maroon County lines there, Sheriff W. We don't want no trouble to suddenly fall upon you and your officers now, do we? How about sparing us the suspense and commence to state in your business? Sheriff W was a melanin-deficient, dark-haired, wiry-framed Scot-Irish man with piercing blue eyes, about 6'4" to be exact. His black uniform fit snug with razor-sharp creases, shoes high-buff, clean as a whistle. Now let's all calm down now, Sheriff. Franko, you say? W inquired while studying Franko from head to toe. He then looked to his fellow officers with confusion and said, "The only Franko we know around here is the Cuban millionaire Franko Manendez who owned this here property. Don't mean no disrespect there, Sheriff Franko, but I'm gonna need you or one of these boys to go fetch the boss man." Franko responded with ice in his tone. "That be me you looking for. How about stating your business before my patience run out? See, I know who you are, and I know what you represent there, W. See, round here, we don't take kind of no carpetbaggers, scallywags, or crackers. Truth is there, W, you ain't got no business in this here Maroon County. See, we took notice when Dr. King came down to your town. Y'all had a poor fella running from house to house avoiding death. Y'all shot up the cabin he was in, then offered no protection from the so-called law there, W. Y'all arrested little black children for sitting at white-only establishments, W. Had the nerve to leave some of them in jail for up to 6 months, W. Little children, W. Oh yeah, W. Did y'all ever get round to arresting that there James Brock for pouring acid in the Monsoon Motor Lodge swimming pool, attempting to scare off the blacks, W? They say next day that there James Brock put a gator in the pool to ensure, and I quote, "No niggers will pull the same stunt today." And W, we know you're working with the Klan. We know your entire filthy town is Klan, W. We know you let the Klan put a good whooping on Andrew Young that night, W. He was with women and children, W. Marching, W. Nonviolent, W. We ain't nonviolent in Maroon County. We put holes and whoopings on anything white slithering down this here way. Are you threatening an officer of the law? Boy, you know what we do to uppity niggers round here," interrupted Sheriff W. The driver of Sheriff W's squad car looked over and whispered, "Who this nigger think he is?" Sheriff W commanded his officers to take an offensive posture and warned, "You done messed up there, boy." His officers opened their squad car doors and drew their weapons. At this point, Franko gave a hand signal to his officers. They lowered their rifles and took a knee. This was totally opposite of what the aggressors anticipated. "See, boys, these Cuban niggers ain't no different than them NAACP cane following niggers. Cowardly and yellow disgraces. These dinges are dumber than they look," blurted one of the St. John's officers. "I love using niggers for target practice." In this moment, Franko seemed to smirk in a state of bliss at the wrong end of St. John's County police guns. "I'd highly recommend you put down your weapons and go home to your families, gentlemen. It ain't gonna go for you how you think. The dead of crackers dead. Y'all just don't know it yet," Franko lectured. W looked at his watch as if he was expecting something. "Sheriff, this nigger needs to be put down," complained the driver of Sheriff W's squad car. "Calm down, Pete. This nigger fixing to learn about us Florida crackers in short time. Hold on to your britches. I'll let you shoot him, Pete, promise." Franko began a slow, casual stroll towards the St. John's officers, almost as if he did not fear being shot. "W," screamed Franko, "I tell you what. I'll allow you and your officer safe passage out of Maroon County if you put your weapons back in your holsters and go on about your business. I'll give y'all about 1 minute to cut your losses and run back to St. Johns County with your lives intact. Now that there proposition is a lot better than getting killed on account of some outdated white supremacist pride. Each step that he took brought him closer to an inevitable fate. As he closed the gap, he noticed the look of absolute hate in the eyes of the St. John's police officers. They noticed the same hate dancing in the eyes of Sheriff Franko. As he neared Sheriff W, took another look at his watch. W ordered, "Pete, get on the horn and see what's keeping the fellas. They should be here by now. I promise not to start putting holes in these niggers before they arrive. You know they like fresh niggers to string up. Don't make no sense hanging already dead niggers." Pete responded, "You got that right, Sheriff. Make no sense at all." Pete proceeded to contact their expected reinforcements on the squad car radio. Franko closed the gap with a casual gait as if he was stepping to a silent beat. "I don't think y'all here too good, W. I recommended that you order them boys to put their weapons down. Somebody gonna get hurt, and it ain't gonna be me," warned Franko. "Ain't nobody gonna answer that there police radio. I know that for a fact, W." Sheriff Franko stopped about 5 yards in front of the St. John's officers. Pete, what's the holdup?" asked Sheriff W. I can't get a hold of nobody, Sheriff," answered Pete in shocked confusion. Sheriff W refocused towards the now stationary Sheriff Franko and said, Pete, put the radio down. I don't think anybody gonna pick up." Pete dropped the radio and directed his attention to Sheriff Franko, who stood only 5 yards away. Sheriff Franko gazed at each of the St. John's officers as if he had a bad taste in his mouth. He then centered his gaze towards Sheriff W and said, "Ain't gonna be no lynch mob cavalry coming today, Sheriff W. We saw to it that half was spared. Not that we showing mercy. Somebody had to carry the dead bodies out our county. And I'll be damned if any of my citizens lift a finger to carry dead, lifeless bodies of terrorist crackers. Just a heads up, W. You're going to be making a lot of visits to them crackers' widows." At this moment, Pete interrupted. "That's it, Sheriff. Let me take him out. Let me take him off the planet. We can't be letting no yellow slick tongue doctor tell us what is and what ain't." Sheriff W interrupted Pete with sobering logic. "Put your gun down, Pete. He trying to rile you up to pull that trigger. You pull that trigger, and we all die right here, right now. Put the gun down, Pete." "Pete, well, we all dying right here, and I'm taking this nigger with me." Sheriff W. "Pete, no!" Pete's gun exploded right in his hands. My eyes. I can't see, Sheriff. I can't feel my hand. Did I get him, Sheriff? Did I get that nigger?" Not only did he fail to harm Sheriff Franko, old Pete managed to blow his right hand and left digits clean off, leaving only his left pinky and thumb intact. His eyes were scorched by the explosion from his gun. He collapsed on the ground, wallowing in his own blood. Sheriff W and his officers were frozen from shock of what just happened. Was it coincidence? Was it that darky hoodoo? Was it black magic voodoo? Why is Sheriff Franko not dead? What happened to the St. Johns County lynch mob? Sheriff W was without comment as his driver was moaning and groaning in pain. You might want to stop the bleeding and get you butted to the nearest hospital, W. I think it's best that you hurry up or it's high probability that he'll die before you get there, Franko suggested. St. John's officers immediately rushed to Pete's aid. They stopped the bleeding and covered his wounds just as Sheriff Franko suggested. Sheriff W then looked toward Sheriff Franko and asked, Sheriff, may we have free passes to your local hospital? There ain't no way we can make it back to St. John's County Hospital. Old Pete might not make it. Franko looked W right square in the eyeballs and responded in a cold, militant tone. No carpetbaggers, no scallywags, and no crackers are welcome round here. What type of man would I be to assist in aiding a terrorist who seconds ago pointed his weapon at me and pulled the trigger? The dead or cracker dead there, W. Old Pete is good as dead if you don't get him in that car and hustle out of Maroon County. You got 1 minute to crank those cars up and leave, or we're going to open fire on your trespassing behinds. Franko then turned around, signaled his officers off their knees in ready position as he strolled casually back towards the city gate. He looked at his watch as if he had a silent countdown going on in his head. St. John's police scrambled to get Pete in the car, jumped in their vehicles with police sirens flashing and sounding off. They sped out of sight with their tails between their legs. Franko looked at his officers and said, "That was round one, fellas. They'll be back, and we'll stay ready. It ain't over till we win." They then continued construction on the Mose City Gate as if nothing ever happened. Now that there is
the legend of Frank the Tank.